Hello and welcome to this dark journey through these haunting stories from all over the internet. Sit back, put your headphones on, and enjoy. When I was little, every few years my family would go back to my mum's hometown, and we'd camp there for about a week or so during the summer, when I was on summer break. And this place, Edgewood, is a pretty small town. It has a population of 200 to 250 people, give or take. Last I checked anyway. And was in a very rural part of the province, surrounded by forests, and rather out of the way, with a close-knit community of people who all knew each other. My mum and stepdad and my 3-year-old sister stayed at our family friend's house to visit. But as soon as I sat down, my mum told me to take the dog for a walk and gave me a $5 to take with me to the convenience store along the way so that I could get an ice cream or a drink, which I was thrilled with. So off I went. The walk to the store was pretty uneventful. The town is incredibly small, and practically everything was within walking distance. The convenience store was about a 5-minute walk away, so I didn't have a hard time finding my way there. Once I bought my Pepsi, I went ahead and sat outside in the front of the store in the shade, taking a moment to sip at my drink before heading back to the house. That's when a blue car pulled up. I wasn't in the area often, so I didn't recognize anybody I met beyond the few family friends my mum would take us to visit every time we were in town. The person in the car rolled down their window and looked over at me, offering a smile and a wave. She looked rather unkempt and appeared to be in what I could only assume was her mid-50s. She was dirty, her hair was messy, and her car was covered in rusty spots, with cracked and damaged windows. I glanced up, offered a polite smile, and went back to my drink. It wasn't uncommon for people to be friendly in that community, so I didn't think anything of it for the most part. She called out to me, "Hey there, what's your name?" I looked up again, a bit hesitant to say anything. I was a bit shy around new folks. Kayla, I answered, not saying much else. I did get taught about stranger danger, but given that this town was a very small, tight-knit community, it didn't cross my mind at the time. I assumed I was safe. "Well, Kayla, I've got this makeup here, and you can have it if you want. I think you'd look beautiful with this makeup. Do you want to come and try it on? I can help you put it on." That was what made the first siren go off in my head. I shook my head, telling her, "No, that's okay. I don't wear makeup." I was literally 10 and was pretty tomboyish. I never had an interest in makeup, and from a stranger, even less so. I was getting uncomfortable and getting up to leave, as she was insistent on getting me to at least give it a try. I kept saying no, and proceeded to start walking away when she offered something else. "Well, what about a muffin? I've got these muffins that are too good to keep to myself. I've got a bunch in the back if you want to come and take one." That was Siren 2. I knew 2 things about walking around by myself anywhere. 1, don't ever take food/candy from strangers. 2, don't ever get into a van, a car, or a truck, any vehicle with someone I didn't know. I said no again and explained that my family was waiting for me. She looked annoyed at this point and insisted again. "Well, I can drive you back, but you just need to get in the car." She was snapping at me at this point, and I was reasonably rattled. I didn't say anything else, and instead hurried off with my dog, hastily enough to where I forgot to even take my Pepsi with me. I don't know why, but something in my head told me to not lead the woman to the house my family was at. So instead, I walked off to the campsite, which was about another 5 minutes away. I figured she wouldn't have any reason to follow me to a campsite that likely had other people there, in case she wanted to try anything. But of course, here's where I was wrong. The campsite was particularly empty that day, and it's not really monitored by anybody, so this was probably the dumbest idea I could have had. I walked along the path that led to the road full of campsite lots, and sure enough, one glance behind me sent chills down my spine, and my stomach sank. The woman was following me in her car. She was a good 10 to 15 meters away, but was keeping pace with me, like she was waiting for me to stop. I panicked, picked up my dog, and walked a bit faster down the road to see if I could get anybody's attention and ask for help. In my panic, I found one man who was setting up his campsite, and I ran to him as fast as I could. I desperately tried to explain what was happening. I was on the verge of tears, explaining that someone who tried to get me into their car was following me. He hummed and eventually said, "Sorry, I've got my dog with me. I can't leave her here for long. I hope you find your way back," and left me on my own. Tears streamed down my face as I begged him one more time, but it didn't change his answer. I looked behind me and noticed that the blue car was gone. I thought that maybe she gave up or didn't want to be seen. But either way, I took this opportunity to sprint away again, desperately looking for somewhere that would let me sneak back to the house off of the main campsite road. Off the side of the road, there was a very thick array of bushes. I picked up my dog once again and ran off into the brush until I was far away enough and hidden enough from the road. I held my dog tight and patiently waited to see if the car would drive by, watching through the bushes. A few minutes passed, and sure enough, there she was, driving by again slowly, almost like she was looking for something. Once she drove off, I wanted to make a break for it, but something told me to stay right where I was. Another few minutes passed by, and the car was back. She had looped around, driving agonizingly slowly. And that wasn't the first time she looped around. She did this more times than I can even recall. I stopped counting at some point. At the final loop, I saw her park her car down the road, a good 40-ish meters behind where I was hiding, as she got out and started walking down the road. And again, like she was looking for something. I was practically petrified. I laid there for God knows how long, waiting as she walked down the road. Eventually, I heard her mumble something and swear at the end of the sentence before she walked back up to her car. She hit the hood of her car before getting back in and speeding off. I waited another half hour, give or take, before I finally plucked up the courage to grab my dog and run as fast as I could back to the house. By the time I had gotten there, my legs were shaking, and I could barely stand. My lungs were on fire, and I was on the verge of tears again. My mum came out and scolded me for taking so long, asking me why I was gone for as long as I was. I broke out in tears, explaining to her what exactly happened, and how I was followed and looked for at least an hour. She shrugged and explained that Nobody here would do anything like that," and went back inside. Our family friend James pulled me aside and asked me to describe the woman and the car. He said, "We know a lot of people here in town. I might know who you're talking about." I told him everything I saw, and he hummed, glancing up while he pondered what he could recall about people he knew in town. "Yeah, I don't know anybody with a car like that here in town. I'll ask around and see if anybody else knows who you're talking about." The rest of the evening was pretty uneventful, but I stayed inside and refused to leave the house. James eventually pulled my mom aside to talk to her again, but I didn't hear their conversation. The remainder of the trip was otherwise calm, but for the rest of our time in town, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere without my mum or my stepdad, and any time I had to take the dog for a walk, one of them always came with me. I don't think I was ever alone again during that trip, excluding when I needed to use the washroom. Whatever James told my mum, I want to say that it got her to take me seriously. I don't think anybody knew who that woman was, but honestly, I'd rather not find out.